Disney's Snow White remake has already been buried in backlash, but Rachel Zegler's latest comments, they pushed the controversy to a whole new level. From criticizing critics to insisting that the film redefines what it means to be a modern woman, her remarks are leaving fans and even Disney executives shocked. Is this just damage control, or is Zegler doubling down on a sinking ship? And why does she think this movie will become an instant classic despite the massive boycott? Let's break down the wildest claims and the truth behind the backlash. The issues surrounding Snow White go far beyond just box office projections. They strike at the core of Disney's reputation and its relationship with audiences. Rachel Zegler's outspoken nature has only amplified the backlash, as her comments seem to alienate a wider range of fans with each interview. She has been vocal in defending the creative direction of the film, which critics argue strays too far from the beloved original. Her staunch alignment with the production's ideological undertones has turned her into a lightning rod for criticism, especially among those weary of Disney's increasingly polarizing content. To make matters worse, the public has not been shy about expressing their frustration. A significant number of moviegoers, including loyal Disney fans, have made it clear they intend to boycott Snow White. Social media platforms are filled with calls to avoid the film, and the negative buzz shows no signs of slowing down. For many, Zegler's inability to step back from the spotlight has only cemented their decision to steer clear of the remake altogether. Zegler's professional track record adds another layer to the story. In recent years, her roles in multiple projects have been met with underwhelming results. Films like Y2K failed to make a mark, and her roles in other productions have done little to establish her as a box office draw. This mounting track record of underperformance makes the stakes for Snow White even higher, as Disney cannot afford another flop amidst growing concerns over its creative and financial direction. For a company once synonymous with magic and success, the Snow White debacle is emblematic of a broader struggle. With Rachel Zegler at the center of the controversy, the film has become a focal point for wider debates about Disney's priorities, public perception, and the future of its storytelling. As 2025 approaches, it remains to be seen whether Disney can weather this storm or if Snow White will be remembered as one of its most significant missteps. It's becoming clear that Disney's Snow White remake is walking a tightrope of controversy, with Rachel Zegler at the center of it all. The latest chapter in this unfolding saga comes from Zegler herself, who has doubled down on defending the film's creative direction in a manner that has further fueled the public backlash. Her recent comments aimed at critics of the movie have sparked another wave of heated reactions across social media and beyond. Zegler describes Snow White 2025 as a reimagined tale for the modern woman designed to inspire women to confront societal challenges with strength and resilience. She emphasized the importance of this new approach, stating that the film transcends its fictional origins to deliver a meaningful message about resilience and empowerment. According to Zegler, the updated Snow White is no longer just a fairy tale princess, but a warrior whose journey is meant to teach women how to navigate difficult situations. However, it's precisely this reimagining that has left many viewers disillusioned. By discarding much of the charm and simplicity that defined the 1937 classic, critics argue that Disney has alienated the very audience that made the original so beloved. Instead of celebrating the story's timeless appeal, the focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion has been seen by some as forcing a specific agenda into a tale that never needed such revisions. Zegler's defense of the film appears to have only deepened the divide. She dismissed criticism as childish, accusing her detractors of spreading false narratives and stifling creativity. But her words, particularly her claim that Snow White is a film only for women in spirit, have struck a nerve. Many families, including longtime Disney fans, have expressed frustration, viewing this statement as exclusionary and dismissive of the broader audience that Disney films traditionally cater to. What's even more perplexing is how Zegler frames the backlash as coming from a loud minority, yet the numbers don't lie. Social media boycotts, public polls, and the lukewarm buzz surrounding the film suggest this so-called minority may actually represent a much larger segment of the audience. For a company already reeling from consecutive box office failures, alienating a key demographic might prove disastrous. In the end, the question remains, can Snow White 2025 overcome this mounting negativity, or will it go down as one of Disney's most notorious miscalculations? With Rachel Zegler's combative stance and the public's growing disinterest, it's hard to see a path forward that doesn't lead to yet another disappointing chapter for the Walt Disney Company. Rachel Zegler has made it clear that she considers promoting DEI a core value of the Snow White remake. In her defense of the film, she insists that DEI is not an agenda, but a fundamental principle of fairness, balance, and opportunity, one that should be embraced universally. She emphasized the importance of creating projects like Snow White that reflect these ideals, claiming that they are essential for fostering a more equitable society. However, this narrative has not resonated with everyone. Critics argue that DEI has, in many cases, become less about genuine inclusivity and more about pushing a specific ideological framework. For over a decade, Hollywood has been accused of leveraging DEI initiatives to shape content in a way that prioritizes messaging over storytelling. This approach, critics say, alienates audiences who feel that traditional narratives and beloved characters are being sacrificed on the altar of modern agendas. Zegler's passionate defense of DEI has only intensified the backlash. By dismissing the public's concerns as misguided and labeling detractors as uninformed, she risks widening the divide between the film's creators and its potential audience. The suggestion that DEI is simply a basic function and not a deliberate agenda runs counter to the experiences of many who have observed how these concepts have evolved in recent years. From casting choices to script rewrites, DEI initiatives have increasingly shaped creative projects, often sparking controversy in the process. In Disney's case, this perceived overreach has become a recurring theme. The studio has faced growing criticism for prioritizing ideology over quality, a trend many believe has fueled its series of box office failures. For some, Zegler's comments reflect an attempt to control the narrative and deflect responsibility for the film's lackluster reception even before its release. Adding to the controversy is the timing of Zegler's statements. Over the past 3 years, the push for DEI in entertainment has reached unprecedented levels, with major corporations integrating these principles into their operations. While supporters see this as a step toward progress, detractors view it as a shift away from merit-based decision-making. For a film as iconic and steeped in tradition as Snow White, this tension is especially pronounced as many fans feel the remake strays too far from the spirit of the original. Ultimately, Zegler's remarks seem to reflect an attempt at damage control, with mounting evidence suggesting that Snow White is unlikely to perform well at the box office. Her impassioned defense of the film's themes feels more like an effort to salvage its reputation than to genuinely engage with audience concerns. But with public sentiment firmly against her in the movie, it remains to be seen whether her words will have any impact or if they'll only serve to further alienate an already skeptical audience. Rachel Zegler's recent remarks have only added fuel to the ongoing backlash surrounding Disney's Snow White remake. Her dismissive attitude toward critics and families opting to boycott the film comes across as tone-deaf to many who feel their concerns are valid. The notion that audiences don't get it or that angry families are simply uninformed diminishes the genuine frustration felt by longtime fans of the original 1937 classic and the Brothers Grimm tale that inspired it. What Zegler seems to overlook is the fundamental principle of audience choice. Viewers have every right to decide which films they want to support, and for many, the decision to avoid Snow White stems from a perception that it disrespects its source material. By attempting to shame or belittle these decisions, Zegler risks alienating even more potential viewers. Her assertion that this new iteration will go down in history as an instant classic also feels out of touch, particularly in light of the significant criticism the project has faced. Claiming that critics will change their rhetoric once they've seen her performance may reflect confidence, but to many it comes across as arrogance. Rather than addressing the valid concerns raised by fans, Zegler seems to double down on the very rhetoric that has sparked such widespread backlash. This disconnect highlights a broader issue with how Disney and some of its stars handle criticism. Rather than engaging in meaningful dialogue or acknowledging their audience's concerns, they often dismiss detractors as uninformed or resistant to change. This approach has contributed to a growing divide between studios and their audiences, a divide that is clearly evident in the response to Snow White. Ultimately, Zegler's comments reinforce the perception that she, and by extension Disney, is out of touch with its core audience. Fans of the original Snow White and families who once saw Disney as a trusted brand feel alienated by what they see as a disregard for the values and traditions that made the company successful. Rather than uniting viewers around a shared love for a timeless story, this remake seems to be driving them away with controversial messaging and divisive commentary. If Zegler and Disney genuinely believe in their vision for the film, they would be better served by focusing on its story and merits rather than attacking those who disagree. However, with every new comment or dismissive remark, the odds of Snow White resonating with audiences grow slimmer, making its path to becoming an instant classic seem increasingly unlikely. Rachel Zegler's behavior has undoubtedly left a sour taste in the mouths of many, and her recent comments only reinforce the perception that she's more focused on defending herself than addressing the legitimate concerns of audiences. Her ego-driven approach and combative attitude suggest a lack of awareness about the larger impact of her words, not just on her own reputation, but also on the film's prospects. It's genuinely surprising that Disney continues to let Zegler speak so freely about Snow White. It almost seems as though the studio has already accepted that this movie is a lost cause. By giving her free reign, it feels like they're throwing in the towel before the film even hits theaters. At this point, the backlash surrounding Snow White could serve as a wake-up call for Disney executives. If this movie flops as badly as many predict, it could finally push the studio to reevaluate its strategy of live-action remakes, particularly those heavily focused on messaging like diversity, equity, and inclusion. Fans want engaging, respectful storytelling, not divisive narratives or dismissive commentary from its stars. What do you think about Rachel Zegler's behavior and the controversy surrounding Snow White? Will Disney learn from this? Or is the studio too entrenched in its current approach to change course? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your perspective. If you enjoyed today's discussion, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to Movie Saga for more in-depth takes on the latest controversies and trends in the entertainment industry. Tap the bell icon so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.